Hello, hello, hello. If you are here, press one. How's everybody doing today? You guys could unmute. You guys could unmute. Webinar is just starting. Doing great. How many people is my newbies at? Where my newbies? Yeah. 14. All right. Okay. How many of you guys would like me to start posting my setups here in TradingView? And would like to get private access to these setups? One. You guys know the drill. Peep this last setup that I called. Woo. Look at that. 1764. I think price is still gonna go down. That'd be great, right? Yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll send out a private link to make it private. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Let's get it. Would you guys please, Juan Cruz? So today, so I'm gonna be posting my setups here. You can follow me on TradingView. This is where you can look at all my setups. Okay. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Okay? I'm gonna, today is mindset, right? That's what we're talking about today. Today is mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So really quickly, let's review some trades. So, my setups that I have, like I did a setup that was here, that worked out. Majority of the setups that I've done have worked out. You can see, and my mindset all through the trade. It's great to take a trade. Another thing is placing the trade and understanding why you took it in the first place. Okay. So that's definitely the first key to successful trading. All right. Now, what is everyone's main problem here? Would like to get on the mic and say what their main problem is.
Seeing the confluence, tying in the different time frames to each other to see the setup and make the entry, etc.
I'm sorry. So somebody mute because there's too many mics open. Who just unmuted? Who was just talking? Speak again? No, you can speak again. James, is that James Swain?
Yep, that was James.
James, please repeat your question again and talk closer to the mic because you sound very far away.
Sorry about that. My panel disappeared. I couldn't unmute. I was saying the confluence, like tying everything together, starting from the top down and tying it in and seeing the setup and then making the correct entry.
Okay. So, for example, let me give you a quick example. let's say your target is here, right? Do you see this?
Yep, I see it.
So let's say you target from here to here, right? You want your target to be here. You have to go down each time frame from the last one, right? So boom. So if my target is here on the daily, then how do I get from here to here? I go and look at each time frame to the last one. The lower the time frame, the more clearer you can see where to enter. So I'm looking at every 45 minutes. So I would enter at the break of here on 45 minutes. Actually a little bit lower because price might come down into this wick. So I'd enter at the break of here. And then I'd take profit here. Okay. Then I would re-enter another entry here. Here would be my other re-entry at this point at 1744. 1744.95, I'm entering. But that's how I got from here to here. I'm sorry, from here to here. And then the break of here, I'm entering here. So what you want to do is you want to look at a higher time frame. And if your higher time frame says, okay, you know what? Your next target is here. You're not going to just sell from here to here. You're going to go on a lower time frame to see how can you find an entry. Okay, because the market has structure, right? There's structure for resistance, there's structure for support. And when that structure is broken within these candlesticks, we can buy or sell within those levels. The more levels you put, the more you can see where the market is. So this is 1771, then price moved down to 1767, then it moved down to 1765. Now look at where price is at. Price is at 1764. 1767 and 1771, price never came back to these levels. So right now price is itching at this level. If price stays below 1764, we could take profit at 1760. Okay, we have to wait and see how that may play out. You can also draw a trend line. This trend line goes here, right? Boom. This is the zone. You never want to sell, you never want to buy into a resistance like this, because if you buy, it's going to hit the ceiling, right? Floor and ceiling. So 1765, I'm going to enter at the break of this, because if price breaks here, it lets me know a new high is being created instead of me just being an idiot and buying into the resistance. You want to buy above the resistance. Okay, so right here. Profit here. Okay. Here people say, well, why don't you take profit here, Dimitri? Here's resistance too. But it's not a strong resistance. There's a difference between support and resistance and a strong resistance. That's not a strong resistance. Here is a strong resistance. The more you can go back and see in the past how much it held, the stronger it is. So here's boom, 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 you know, boom, boom, it's boom. Okay, but here is not. Here is like boom, nothing in here. This hit, nothing. This hit below resistance. Not much resistance. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you, James Swain?
I'm tracking you. Yep, I'm following.
Okay, perfect. So goal is if you want to enter on multiple times, if you want to find a weekly swing that you want to trade, because look at the market is different from all perspectives. Like look how it's compact. This is a month's view. This is a weekly view. Each candlestick represents a week. Daily view, 12-hour, 4-hour. I personally like to enter in on the daily and weekly. I'm a long-term trader, where I aim for a bigger amount of points. So I like to think about the whole move because for me, it's like if somebody asks me, well, what's your future? Somebody's like, I could tell you your future. And they're like, well, I could tell it to you in the next 15 minutes. I can tell what's going to happen to you in the next 15 minutes, or I can tell you what's going to happen to you in the next week. I would rather that person tell me what's going to happen to me within the next week because the next 15 minutes are more predictable, right? And the next 15 minutes is so short. So if I had a special power to know what was going to happen within the next 15 minutes or the next week versus day, I would choose the week and day because that gives me a more thorough outlook of what my second week might be and my third week might be. Right? It's all perspective. But you know, some people want to know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. The next, that's okay. Okay. Any questions? What is your problems? That's what I need to know. What is your problems?
Mine is patience. Patience with my winners. I've learned to stay within the rules, and now I'm ready to I get to one zone. Excuse me, I get to one zone and then I'm okay. But I know I should let it go to the second or third zone, and I have a tendency to jump out and then I'll re-enter instead of letting it run. That's my issue.
Okay. Now, is that making you lose when you enter sometimes and re-enter? Or
Well, yeah, the re-enter, sometimes on the second or third re-enter, I'll take a hit when I should have just let it, I guess it's a decision at that point. But most of the time, I could say 4 out of 5 times, the trade goes to at least the second or third zone. And I'm usually out in the first zone. Okay?
Okay, definitely. So I think that you should, being out in the first zone is great. That's great because I mean, you can look at it both ways. If you're out in the first zone, you're creating a level of consistency, right? Like boom, 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 boom. If it's gonna hit the second and third zone, then that first zone is your confidence. So I think you should also build on that too, and not be afraid to get out in the first zone because if you're getting out in the first zone on a bunch of different pairs, you're gonna have a lot of pips accumulate. Now, if you want to switch that up and you're like, hey, I wanna aim for the second or third zone, then you can get out at the first zone and still kind of scale into the second and third zone too as well. Now, if that's a little bit like, makes you kind of hesitant on the end and you're like, well, I don't know what price is gonna do. I would say the thing is this for the third thing is that you have to have trading is confidence, right? Without the confidence of believing in your trade and trusting in your trade, then you're going to start to second guess yourself. That's where EQ comes in, right? You're going to start to think, well, what if I could be wrong, right?
Right. Yep. And that's it. Once I'm comfortable with my pips, it's like I know I can get some more, at least 2 or 3 times more, and I become a chicken.
Right.
Sorry, I had this problem, and what happens is that I got my risk management and I split my lot in 2, so I had 2 positions. And once my first target is hit, I close this and I move my stop loss a little bit from the second and I let it run to see what's gonna happen. So I secure the bag and I let the second position see if it go to the second target or not, and helped me a lot.
Okay. So is it, do you have a problem or no? Or are you doing well?
No,
Okay.
I'm just talking about the lady or the woman that just spoke about it, this problem to go to second or third target. If she split her position 2, she can secure the bag on half of the position, half of the lot, and let the other one run.
I love how you say secure the bag. I like that.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's what I was actually going to get into is they saying, you can take partial profits. So all you have to do is lower your lot size and you don't have to actually close the full position of the trade.
Okay. Yep. I think that's it right there because I don't use stop loss very often. I mean, it's rare. I'm usually got a, you know, call level on or something, so I'm getting an alert when it's headed toward a stop loss. So, yeah,
Right.
just cut
No,
my
no.
lot size in half. Yep.
Yeah, split your lot size in half, and it's easier to do.
All right, I'm gonna give it a shot on my next trade.
Yeah, because when you're in a trade,
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a trade and you split your lot size in half, it allows you to whatchamacallit. Oh, nice. It allows you to take partial profits. Like you don't actually have to worry about, oh man, you know, splitting my lot size, like, you know, getting out of a position, because you can just literally go to where it says 1 standard or 2 standard lots, lower your lot size, take some money off the table, and let the rest of the position grow.
Yeah.
Correct.
That way you're-
Psychologically helped me a lot.
Okay, yeah, because that's gonna keep me from feeling like I'm gonna risk too much. So fair enough. I'm gonna give that a shot.
Right. Definitely. What
Thank
what
you.
other, no problem, no problem. What other problems do you guys feel that you have? Anybody else wanna?
My problem is to be consistent with one strategy. So when I win or when I lose, I don't have the count of what strategy is working or not. But I know there's a psychological problem that I have to work on it and stick with a strategy and see if it works and get the percentage of the strategy results and not be, you know, trying 2 or 3 strategies. That's my main problem.
Dimitri.
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, my mic was muted by mistake. Yes. So
I got a question.
Yeah, give me 1 second. So to Adriana's question, right? Adriana?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
My question.
You were saying that you have trouble with consistency, right? With one strategy.
Yeah, because I try different strategies, so I get inconsistent results. So I know it's a psychological problem. So what's the strategy that you recommend from the ones that you taught us that I should stick with and do not change regardless, so I can see the results of the strategy?
Okay, yeah. So one of the strategies, I think it's not necessarily just a strategy. I think it is knowing how to maneuver, right? So essentially, it's like being a basketball player, right? You're a basketball player. You don't just know how to shoot the ball. You also know how to dribble. You also know how to dunk, right? You also know how to maybe shoot a 3-pointer or do an alley-oop. There's different tricks that you can do. Same thing with karate. If you're doing kung fu, you know, there's not just one move that you know a bunch of different moves, right? However, it's about knowing how to master those moves. It's great. Like Bruce Lee says, I'm not afraid of a man who's practiced one kick. I'm afraid of a man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times, right? You're not afraid of a man that's practiced 1,000 different kicks with that one kick 1,000 times. So if you know 5 kicks and you practice them 5,000 times, it kind of makes you more deadly. For me personally, I like to look for setups on Asian session. I like to look for like 0017, 12. That's my go-to. That's like what I personally do. And I have other strategies too. But the reason why I have those is because I've developed a style for myself, right? Perfect example. I personally love, I love music. I love hip hop, right? So I go to different freestyle events, and there's different. When you hear a beat of a song, right? Anytime there's a beat of a song, there's different flows that you can go on that beat. Sometimes you see rappers rap to like super fast beat, like da 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 da, and you see them rap to something slow. It doesn't necessarily mean that they need to have one flow, right? Because them being versatile and having multiple flows allows people to be more interested in their music. And so with you there's nothing wrong with having different strategies, but what's wrong is that you're not mastering and working on those strategies to kind of make them your own, to where you own them instead of them owning you. So like 12, 17, 00, those are strategies that I've back tested over and over and over and gathered data. Again, you're a data scientist, right? So your whole point is to gather as much data about the strategy that you're using. Anybody can have a strategy, but what is a consistent win rate of that strategy? What is your risk to reward ratio when using that strategy? How often does the strategy work? Does it work better on Tuesdays or Wednesdays? Is it more volatile on Thursdays? So these are certain questions that you have to start asking yourself when you have a strategy. Anybody can have a strategy, but to break down and gather data from something and understand how it works, then you become a master instead of a slave. So I hope that gives you some better insight.
Gotcha. Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah, no problem. I would highly recommend that you work on price action. Like work on your price action, work on your entries, perfect those things first, and then start coming up with like, something systematic. Okay, when price does XYZ, I'm gonna do XYZ.
I will. Thank you.
Okay? When price moves XYZ, I'm gonna do XYZ. Okay. Now, who is the other gentleman asking questions? Some other gentleman wanted to ask me a question. Go ahead, boss.
Yeah, so I had a question about timing, because let's say, for example, at 7 in the morning, a move happens, and you weren't awake for it, or it's like that is more day trading, or it's like when you trade on the higher time frame, you wait for it to get on that level.
Wait, you give me a second because I'm kind of losing you. You're saying, yeah, you're being a little bit all over the place. What is your exact question? So you were talking about originally you were saying something about time frame and waking up early.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, I woke up at 6 in the morning, and in London, a move happened that happens for the rest of the day. And then let's say, for example, I have to go to work. Like, would you know a way to manage timing? Because I know London moves and then New York moves happen. So like, I do work a 9 to 5, and I'm just trying to manage around that. But I just, I haven't been very successful at it.
What do you do for work?
I'm an electrical engineer, just electric, just whatever has to do with like a light bulb, a ceiling fan, the boiler on your house, all that good stuff.
What time do you have to wake up?
7 to be there at 8. I'll probably get to the job like around 9.
Eastern Standard?
I'm sorry?
EST?
No. It's just a private company.
No, I'm saying Eastern Standard Time.
Oh yes, Eastern Standard.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m., right?
Yes, sir.
So why don't you set up your trades 6 to 7 a.m. and then jump in from there.
Okay, so stay active on the charts. Let's say, for example.
Yeah, stay active. I mean, I know you have work,
Active?
but yeah, you also have a mobile phone. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, just have
Right.
a lot of diversity. Yeah, copy.
Yeah, you have a cell phone that you can literally look at your chart for a couple minutes, enter your order, and then you'll be good.
Okay, copy. Based on the price action. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. What time do you get home?
5, 6.
Oh, you're good, bro. You have the morning, you have the night, you have OO, you
Okay.
have 17.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. 17, 5.
The times where you're saying are the times where the market is the liquidity is not even as much.
Okay. So when I'm active doing work, that's when it's not much movement, right?
Yeah, there's not much movement. Did you just start trading?
No, picked it up like last year.
Nice. How did you find out about gold mines, if you don't mind me asking?
We met at 4040 Lounge at some you know.
Oh, I met you there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And you was like, yo, this is my link, this is my website, or like Telegram or something like that.
Oh, right. At Jay-Z's club.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Right.
I was like, oh, my group of friends were like, yo, and then I was like probably like the second to last to get the link because it was being given out. I was like, yo, I need that shit.
Word. Okay. Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay, great. So, yeah, that's what I would say that you can do. And, anytime you're like, you come home from work, I know you're probably a little bit exhausted, but, just see if you could put a couple hours into the chart, 2 to 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If you do more than you're paid for, then you'll get more than you're paid for it. You know what I mean? So it's just putting in the hours, just putting in the time. That's the reason why I designed 12, 17, and 00 that way, is to make it a self-sufficient strategy to where it's all timely based, to where you're not in front of your computer 24/7 365, but you're in your computer of a short enough time to where you can get some money and get out. I trade the 12, boom, I'm done. 00, I'm done. I missed the 12, boom, I'm at 00.
Okay.
I missed the 12, boom, I'm at 17. Miss 17, I'm at 00. So it's like, if you miss all 3 times, then it's like, then that's your fault or my fault too.
Start taking lunch at 12.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So we had the cookie crumbles.
Thank you for the insight, man.
Of course, man. Anytime.
It's been an interesting journey.
And it's gonna get more and more interesting.
Thank you.
No problem. So,
And guys, if you guys didn't send your Telegram name, please email GMG Compliance and send it. So just in case, if you already sent it to me, already gave it to me, don't bother. So make sure you send it. Juan, did you send your Telegram name? Juan, who was just speaking?
I'm sorry?
Did you send your Telegram name? Your name, Telegram. You could send it to gmgcompliance@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay.
Okay. Can you send that? And Dawood, send me your Telegram name as well. Sorry guys to interrupt. Dawood Campbell, send me your Telegram name.
heard a really great quote today, and was a question for you. Okay? What would you expect a 4th grader? How long would you expect a 4th grader to stay in 4th grade? Write your answers in the comments below. You were in fourth grade. How long would you expect a fourth grader to stay in fourth grade? 1 year? 1 year, right? Now let's say that the fourth grader wasn't, you know, as smart and wasn't progressing. Then how long would you give him? If you 1 year didn't work, how long would you give him? Would you give him another year? Yes or no?
Of course.
Right. Now let's say 3 years went by and he didn't go. Do you think you'd give him another year?
He didn't go to school?
No, he's in fourth grade. The average, how long would you give a fourth grader to graduate fourth grade? 1 year, right? That's an average, your expectancy, right?
Right.
Now, if he wasn't as caught up, then how long would you give him? 2 years. You might give him another year, right? You give him an extra year to do it again.
Right.
Now, what if he went by 4, 5, 6 years? Could he stay in fourth grade for another 4 to 5, 6 years? No, right?
No, they
Not
would
be
be
able to do that.
questioning. Right.
You would need professional help, right? And so, the same way you would expect a fourth grader to graduate in 1 year, right? It's all due to reasonable results and reasonable time, right? So to get a reasonable amount of results in a reasonable time, that's why we say, okay, we'll give you a whole 365 days to prove you can make it to the next level. But after 4, 5, 6 years pass by and you're not making it to the next level, then you start to think like, what kind of help do you actually need, right? And so for us, yeah, Dominique said, kick him out, right? So for us, right, some of us are in the same spot that we were, you know, for the past 4 or 5 years. So do you want to be in the same spot that you were for the past 4 or 5 years? Or would you like to graduate and go on to the next level? And that's what I mean by graduating and going on to the next level, is that you do not want to stay like the fourth grader in the same thing, in the same grade, doing the same thing over and over and again. You want to give yourself time. You want to give yourself a reasonable amount of results with reasonable time, okay? So when you're trading, you want to also give yourself, you don't also want to be stuck in the same spot. Whatever you're trading, business, whatever you're doing, you want to give yourself a reasonable amount of time with a reasonable amount of results, okay? Once you're able to give yourself a reasonable amount of time with a reasonable amount of results, you'll be able to make it to the next level, okay? And that's why that's so important, is that we don't want to stay stuck in one place. You never want to stay stuck where you were last year or the year before. Every single year that you're trading, every single year, no matter what you're doing, you always want there to be a ladder, right? You always want there to be a ladder of progression that you go through, okay? And I was listening to something by Jim Rohn today, and he was saying that, you know, the ladder starts at $4 an hour, right? They pay someone $4 an hour. Now, why is that? Because that person's not very valuable, right? They pay, you know, at that time, they paid a CEO of Disney $52 million a year. Why? Because that person has become more valuable. So the more valuable they have become, the more they get paid, which means the more that you do, the more that you become, and the more that you do, the more that you receive. And so, you know, they say you work at McDonald's and they pay you $5 an hour. You take out the trash, they pay you $5 an hour. If you whistle and take out the trash, they'll pay you $6 an hour, right? It's not about the job, it's about the attitude towards the job. So same thing applies with trading, right? You study for 15 minutes, you give yourself 15 minutes a day trading, you know, and you're starting off and you don't know anything, then that's all the knowledge that you'll retain, is that 15 minutes, right? Because all that other time is given to whatever else is given to. But if it's like cleaning your house, you give yourself 30 days to clean your house, it'll take 30 days. You give yourself 3 hours to clean your house, it'll take 3 hours. So you want to do things in a reasonable, you want to get reasonable amount of results in a reasonable amount of time, okay? And the only way to do that is becoming more valuable. How do you become more valuable? What do you do to become more valuable, to increase your value? Study more, be behind the charts more, You know, start back testing, start journaling, doing things that you've never done to get results that you've never gotten. You understand what I'm saying? You live your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay? And the only way to do that is to increase your knowledge, to increase your value, is to become a good data scientist. Part of becoming a good data scientist is going over the same things over and over and over again, collecting information changes situations. Okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and put on a video from Alan Watts. And it's called Accepted. This video is really good. Love this video so much. Awesome video by Alan Watts. Listen to this video since 2016. As you can see, Alan Watts, you'll be good at it. 5 years ago, when it first came out, this is one of the things that really helps me with gold, because my mindset wasn't there. You know, you ask yourself, a lot of us know our behaviors. The crazy thing about mindset, right, psychology, is that many of us know the behaviors that we lack, but yet we continue to do those same behaviors over and over again because we're addicted. We're addicted to the toxicity of it, right? Because it's like someone who does drugs. Like, man, they want to quit drugs, but the high that they get from doing it, they try to get back to a certain kind of high or a certain kind of level. So you might have made money in the market, and it might have been an astronomical amount of money, and you want to get back to that high. So you continue to repeat the same bad habitual behaviors that you did to get that high in the first place, hoping in hopes that you'll receive that high once again. But in reality, all you're doing is building yourself into destruction, right? You're building yourself to self-destruct, because habits only happen through consistency. And a lot of people use the word consistency and think, oh, consistency is a good word. If I have consistency, that's a good thing. No, you can be consistently awesome at something, and you can be consistently shitty at something, right? You can be consistently bad at something, because if you're making the same mistake over and over again, you're building consistency. Those consistencies turn into habits. Those habits turn into daily disciplines, and then those disciplines turn into actions. So you're constantly in a state of creating yourself. So you have to ask yourself, who am I? Am I okay with being that person? And how is being this person now affecting me? How is it affecting me? How is it affecting my schoolwork? How is it affecting my life, other people around me? You want to start asking those questions. So a lot of us, we go and seek advice from other people, when really the best advice you can get is from yourself, because you know yourself more than anybody else. So once you begin to study yourself more than you study the charts, only then you can progress. Because if you're studying the charts, then you don't believe that there's anything wrong with you. You believe that there's something wrong with the market. So you're looking for an answer that doesn't even exist. Where if you take time to study yourself, you'll take less energy and time to put in the market to study, because you'll understand something about yourself that prevents you from progressing in the first place. Okay? So I'm gonna play a video by Alan Watts called Accept It, and you'll be good at it. Okay? It's one of my favorite talks.
It's a story about a man who has a fight with a circus bear. And the bear reads his mind and always forestalls any attack that he makes on it. There's absolutely nothing he can do to get past the bear. And so, in the same way, you might imagine a guru who is a mind reader, and he always knows if you decide before you act. And if you do, you see, the devil will catch you. Instead, you see, of deciding that you won't be an alcoholic anymore, the only thing to do is not to drink, without any previous decision on this matter. Well, how can anyone do that, you see? That's the question. How can I decide not to decide? How can I announce that I won't make any announcement without making an announcement? You see, there is no way out of that bind. Try as you may, you go on and on and on, trying, as Herrigal did, to release the bowstring without thinking first to release it. But then, strangely enough, one day the thing happened. He did it. And this is involved in our learning of almost all techniques. That we work and work to achieve that final point of perfection. And it doesn't come, and then one day it happens. What is the reason for that? Is it simply, and this is really, the way it's usually explained, but this is an oversimplification. It is not that we have practiced it so often that it suddenly becomes perfect. It is much more subtle than that. What happens is that we've practiced so often that we find out we can't do it. And it happens at the moment you know you can't do it. When you reach a certain point of despair, when you know that you are the one weird child who will never be able to swim, at that moment you're swimming. Because the desperation and the total inability to do it at all has brought you to a point which we might call don't care. You stop trying, you stop not trying to get it that way. You just have arrived at the insight that your decision, your will, doesn't have any part in the thing at all. And that's what you needed to know. You've overcome, you see, the illusion of having a separate ego. There is no way of telling anyone that that's an illusion and getting appropriate action, because we are thoroughly indoctrinated with the idea that it's real. And if I say, well, I'm going to get rid of my ego, that's what the Taoists call beating a drum in search of the fugitive. He hears you coming. So the ego, that is to say, the illusion of having a separate will and a separate eye center, that can be an effective agent. That cannot be overcome by a decision which seems to be centered in the ego. You might as well put out fire with fire. It can come only when an attempt to act from the ego center reveals to be completely futile. Then the thing happens, because you've really discovered that it was, after all, an illusion.
Wonderful. Awesome. So we're going to pause this. We're going to reflect on that lecture really quickly. What do you guys feel from that lecture? What did you get from that?
I need to stop thinking so hard.
Actually, did you get anything?
I'd be overthinking, man. I guess I gotta stop pressuring myself so much, being so hard on myself. I guess it's my surroundings that really do affect me, you know?
No, absolutely. Your environment definitely affects you. You know, environmental impact is Guys, get away from people that don't have the same vision as you. Get away from people that don't see what you see. You know, your parents or whoever it is. I mean, I'm not telling you to completely cut those people off, but limit the time that you spend on the phone with, you know, somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because what you're receiving, what you're hearing, what you're intaking is what you're conditioning yourself to believe. You're conditioning yourself to believe certain things, and once you believe certain things, you act on them. I mean, once you believe certain things, you feel them, and when you feel them, you act on them. And when you act on them, consequences happen. And I think that, you know, so many of you are used to, your expectations are too high. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But what it is it puts you in a state of unknowing, right? Because you have such a desperation, right? A desperation to get somewhere. But oftentimes, the things that we want in life, we get when we don't care about them anymore. Like, name one thing that you do really good right now, that you stop thinking about doing it, and you stop thinking about doing it and you just do it. There's no like thought process that goes through it. Like it's natural for you. Anybody? What do you guys get at? Name what you're good at. Put it in the comments.
I'm good at trading, but my thought process is not there.
Aside from trading, what else do you do outside of trading that you think you're good at? It could be anything. It could be the smallest thing in the world. It could be cooking. It could be you make the best coffee. It could be anything. Mechanic. You said mechanic? Hey, George. Jeanette, tell me about your yoga. Hi, Jeanette.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Jeanette.
Hi, how you going, Dimitri? I studied to be a yoga teacher. I don't teach, but I love doing yoga every morning. I think it's a great way to start the day.
Okay. Now, do you, when you're doing yoga,
Yeah.
are you kind of how long have you been doing yoga first of all? Let me answer that.
About 5 years.
5 years. Okay, so when you get up and you do yoga,
Yeah.
are you kind of consciously thinking like, I'm making this move or I'm making that move? Or is your body just in a state of flow where it kind of like already knows what it wants to do?
Yeah, you're right. Depending on what sequence you're doing, but definitely it actually has helped me with my trading.
So what kind of like, what kind of moves do you do? Like, or I don't know, name like a technique that you do that is very natural for you, that you don't really think about consciously doing it. Like you don't feel like you're relearning it, but like a technique a part of you.
Yeah, there's a move that you do. You go through a sequence called sun salutation. So you're saluting the sun basically, and that has a sequence that is really well known all through the world. And I do that without consciously thinking. I can do that form.
You can do that form, right?
Yeah.
And you do that form without thinking. You're not like, well, you know, I put my hand here, I do this, or I stand. It should come to you naturally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, what about when you were first learning that form? Like, did it take your body a little bit to get used to that, or?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, right?
Yeah.
And then, do you remember the time where you like first learned how to do it, or do you not recall that time?
Oh no, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
You remember when you first learned how to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the first time you learned how to do it, and then the second time you did it, were you kind of like a little doubtful your second time if you can do it again, or were you like?
Yeah, very awkward. Yeah, you're awkward when you're first learning because it's not natural. Some of the moves.
Right. And over time, it becomes natural.
Yes.
And I think that's because, in my personal opinion, I think maybe you learned how to do that so naturally because you've done it so many times that you stopped caring about whether if you did it perfect or not, and you just wanted to kind of just learn it. You just wanted to learn it. You know what I'm saying? There was
Yeah.
really no end goal. Like nobody was gonna be like, here's $100 million if you learn this. So
No.
right, it kind of just left like the pressure started to slowly decrease, right?
Yes.
And that's the same thing with trading, right? Like we learn a new strategy or we learn a new move. And like when I was learning how to do this goal strategy in 2016, I started doing it so much, I was failing. And then I was failing so much that I was actually doing it because I stopped caring about making money from it and I started caring about just, following the strategy and, having fun with it. And when I
Yeah.
let go of that attachment to the end goal of making X amount of dollars or in X amount of time, I found myself doing it. And I remember the first time I did it and the strategy worked, I was like, wow, this works. And I didn't believe that I could do it the second time. And then the third time and fourth time, somebody was like, yo, how are you calling these trades? And I didn't know. I didn't know how to answer because I didn't even know how I was doing it. I was just unconsciously doing it and it was working. And as time got by, I got so familiar with it that it became a part of me and that I just knew how to do it. And that same strategy that I'm telling you about is the same reason why Gold Mines was born in the first place. Right? Without that strategy, I probably wouldn't even have had Gold Mines. The 12 and 00 and all these different things and all the different things that I learned. I would have never had it. And so I think it's allowing yourself to let go of the idea. That's what accept it is. Accept it and you'll be good at it. Accept that you suck at what you suck at right now, and that's okay. And once you accept that, it's like a girlfriend breaking up with you, right? Once you accept the breakup is over, it's easier for you to move on, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, I personally still have trouble with a stop loss. Like watching a trade hit a stop loss, I still have an urge to move that stop loss. So that's what I've been working on recently with your strategies. Yeah, that's the psychological problem that I have is moving the stop loss. And if I do move it, then inevitably your trade goes the wrong way, and maybe in a very bad way,
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Well, with the 12 o'clock, I do stop loss at 25 pips, take profit
Yeah.
at 25 pips, and potential profit, it could be 100, 150 pips. But what I'm saying with the whole thing is that accepting the idea that something is maybe not working, accepting the idea that something is not happening the way we want it to happen. A lot of people, including myself, have always wanted microwave success. That's where you put something in an oven. I mean, you put something in an oven, it's going to take some time to bake, right? You take a frozen pizza, you put it in the oven, it might take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. In this generation, people will take that same frozen pizza and put it in the microwave just because they want it to be done an extra 5 minutes faster, right? Efficiency is good, but sometimes you can't beat time. Sometimes you have to accept time. Time is an interesting thing. We can manipulate time, we can speed it up, we can slow it down. But the one thing we can't do is escape it. You can't escape time. You can fast forward time a little bit, right? You can kind of speed up time, speed up the process. You could slow things down, take your time to analyze, right? You could do these things. You might be able to recognize times when certain things happen and be able to manipulate, certain situations. But one thing you can't do is escape time. Time is like 2 hands around your head. And if you turn left, it's there. If you turn right, it's there. If you 360 your head, you'll kill yourself turning it around trying to escape it because the hands are always there. Okay? You can't escape time. So the best thing to do is if we can't escape time, the best thing for us to do is accept time. Accept that these things take time. Jim Rohn says, you plant a seed, right? God said if you plant the seed, he'll give you the tree. You don't got to change the soil. You don't have to change the sunlight. You don't have to change anything. You just have to plant the seed. If you plant the seed, God will give you the tree. So you get the soil, you get the rain, you get the sun, you get all these other things. All you got to do is plant the seed, and that's it. And then you get a full-size tree. That's what you have to do in trading. You have to plant the seed, and then you'll get the sunshine and the trees and all these other things will help the tree grow. And all these other things will help you grow. Is when you focus on that one thing that's holding you back. Focus on the one thing that's holding you back and the one thing that's pushing you forward. Sharpen your sword on the one thing that's pushing you forward, and dumb down on the thing that's holding you back. And you're starting to see results. And let go. Stop trying to be $1 million trader tomorrow. You can get inspired by people's results, but don't get envious of people's results where you actually end up speeding up your time for success. You end up speeding up your time for certain things, right? You end up speeding up your time to where it wasn't actually supposed to be your time. Because when we speed up our certain time, we can't see things, right? We can't see things when we speed up time. Why do I say that? It's like watching a movie. Have you ever gone to the movie theaters and watched a movie fast forward? No, you haven't. You've never watched a movie in fast forward. So you always watch a movie in regular speed, because if we watched a movie in fast forward and it had subtitles and it was in a different language, we wouldn't know what the hell that movie was talking about or what happened. So your life is a movie. Stop trying to fast forward and speed up yourself to a place that you're not supposed to be at, or you're gonna miss certain parts of the movie. Okay?
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, enjoy the journey.
Dimitri, I have a personal question. If you do not want to answer, it's okay. Are you in EST time? So how is your routine during the morning, before and during the trading?
So I wake up for the 12. Sometimes I wake up earlier. I'll set my pending orders, and that's pretty much it. Now, let's say I have like guests over, or company or something like that. My routine may be a little bit different because, obviously, my focus is elsewhere, right? But if I'm by myself, usually my routine is I'll get up in the morning, I'll get a glass of water, I'll put on something motivational, something that fuels me, that gets me started for the day, because I realize like when I'm trading, I need to be in a clear state of mind. So I try not to get into any arguments or disputes or pick up my phone so much. The first thing that I'll essentially do is I'll take a shower, wash my face, I'll brush my teeth, obviously, do all of that, get some breakfast, put on some music, and then I'll start stretching. After I put on some music, I'll start stretching, and then I'll jump into the charts. I'll go look at some.
What time do you actually sit to watch the charts?
So usually when I sit to watch the charts, it's probably around like 7 a.m.
To take the trade when the 7 a.m. closes, to that the 8, which is the 12.
Right, sometimes 7, sometimes 6.
Okay.
Yeah, and my routine is just very it's nothing insane.
Okay, well, that's fine. Just know a little bit, because I do pretty much the same, but sometimes I miss the move, or sometimes I wait too much, and I get impatient, things like that.
The earlier you wake up, the better you can anticipate the move. You wake up at 5 a.m., you'll be able to anticipate that move, no problem. The whole thing is, can you stay up from 5 to 8? That's why you got to do things to kind of leave yourself, maybe 5 a.m. you might get up, do what you got to do, look at the market at 6 a.m. and then start plotting and saying, okay, I'm going to set up my position like this, set up my position like that, and then you get ready.
Okay, cool.
You want to create rituals for yourself. You don't want to just get up and head straight to the computer.
Oh, no, definitely not. I have to wake up, I have to take my tea, I have to pray, I have to walk, I have to shower, and then I go to the computer. By this time,
right, there you go.
By the time that the computer is around 6:45, 7 a.m.
Right.
Sometimes 7:30.
You run the day, you don't let the day run you. Okay?
Okay.
Last video I'm going to put on.
Those words are very powerful.
Very powerful.
The future happens when we explore new frontiers. Gemini is the future of finance.
In this universe, there is one great energy, and we have no name for it. People have tried various names for it, like God, like Brahman, like Tao. But in the West, the word God has got so many funny associations attached to it that most of us are bored with it. When people say God the Father Almighty, most people feel funny inside. But according to Buddhist philosophy, all this universe is one tathata. That means 10,000 functions or 10,000 things, one suchness. And we're all one suchness. And that means that suchness comes and goes like everything else, because this whole world is an on and off system. As the Chinese say, it's the yang and the yin. And therefore it consists of now you see it, now you don't, here you are, here you aren't, here you aren't. Because that's the very nature of energy, to be like waves, and waves have crests and troughs.
You guys hear that part?
We and troughs.
You hear that? Waves are like troughs.
Here you are, here you aren't. Because that's the very nature of energy, to be like waves, and waves have crests and troughs. Only we, being under a certain kind of sleepiness or illusion, imagine that the trough is going to overcome the wave, or the crest. The yin, the dark principle, is going to overcome the yang, or the light principle. And that off is finally going to triumph over on. And we, shall I say, bug ourselves by indulging in that illusion. See, supposing darkness did win out, wouldn't that be terrible? So we're constantly trembling and thinking that it may, because after all, isn't it odd that anything exists? It's most peculiar. It requires effort. It requires energy. And it would be so much easier for there to have been nothing at all.
Ain't that the truth? Do you hear that? It would be so much easier if there was nothing at all. And we bug ourselves that this darkness is going to happen. So when you're behind the chart, we kind of overthink and think, oh, well, this bad thing is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And we always think about, I mean, it's good to think about the consequences. I'm not saying to be positive all the time, but don't have such an attachment to a negative consequence. And don't have such an attachment to a positive consequence. Try to be neutral, right? Try to be like, you know, if this happens, that's great. If it doesn't, it's also okay. You know, try not to be too sad if something doesn't happen or something doesn't go your way. Because once you become too sad that it didn't go your way or it didn't happen the way that you expected, you become emotionally attached to that idea. And that once you create an emotional attachment to something, right, it messes with your psyche. It messes, that's why EQ is so important. Understanding what the feelings are, understanding how to feel them, how to process them, how to internalize them, how to manipulate them, right? There's so many different things. But one thing you can't do is automatic. Like I have a friend who's so negative. She's so negative. She's like, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? And it's great to analyze the what ifs and the good and the bad. But when you're so on the negative side more than you are in neutral, being in the middle, you never see the light of both sides. You only live in darkness. So you have a choice. You can either live in darkness, okay, or you can live in light. Okay?
Therefore we think, well, since the inside of things is so much effort, you always give up after a while and you sink back into death. But death is just the other face of energy. It's the rest, the not being anything around, that produces something around, just in the same way that you can't have solid without space, or space without solid. When you wake up to this, and realize that the more it changes, the more it's the same thing, as the French say, that you are really a playing of this one energy, and there is nothing else but that it is you, but that for you to be always you would be an insufferable bore. And therefore, it is arranged that you stop being you after a while and then come back as someone else altogether.
See what I'm saying? That's the change, right? It's okay. It's okay for us to change. It's okay for us to not stay the same, right? You want to come back as someone new every single time, because when you come back new as someone every single time, you learn something new. You become more. You grow more. You understand more things. You're more enlightened with certain things. You start to internalize certain things and process certain things differently. Okay? And you are that. You are everything that you think you're not. That's you, right? Okay?
And so when you find that out, you become full of energy.
And delight.
And delight. And you suddenly see through the whole sham of things. You realize you're that. We won't put a name on it. You're that. You can't be anything else. So you are relieved of fundamental terror. That doesn't mean that you're always going to be a great hero.
Right.
That you won't jump when you hear it bang.
But see, that doesn't mean just because you're relieved of fundamental terror, right? Just because, like, if you believe that you can become an ultimate trader, you can become really good at it, you can really become really good at what it is that you do, or whatever it is, the best entry king, best whatever, support and resistance, whatever it is, right, that you're doing, trading on this specific subject. But once you release yourself of fundamental terror, which means you stop caring about you're going to lose money. Losing money is inevitable. You're going to lose money no matter what. Even if you had a crystal ball right now, they're like, look, you're going to become a billionaire. You're going to have to lose hundreds to get to thousands. You're going to have to lose thousands to get to millions. You're going to have to lose millions to get to billions. It is part of the game. And once you realize that, once you stop trying to not lose and accept the fact that you will lose, then that's when you'll win. You have to lose in order to win. Just how it goes. Most of you lose, and then you try to revenge trade. You try to get back at the market as if the market is a living, breathing entity. No, the people who trade the market are living and breathing. And those living and breathing people control the entity, right? I mean, well, they have no control over it, but our influence is there. That's the scary part. You guys want to have control over everything. Stop trying to control everything. The more you try to control everything, the more disaster it is. The more disaster it is. The more you let things go and don't try to control them, the more peaceful it becomes. Did you know people in Amsterdam versus people in New York, the amount of people that do drugs in Amsterdam are extremely low compared to the people that do drugs in New York. And drugs are fully legal in Amsterdam. Not to say that people don't do drugs, but I guarantee people in the US do drugs a lot more than people do in Amsterdam. And why is that? Because people are not controlled. They're not in a controlled environment. Drugs are legal to do in Amsterdam, right? There's coffee shops, there's all types of things. Where in the US, it is illegal, so people will find the need to want to control something because they don't have control. People hate to feel powerless. And it's okay, because there's a difference between being powerless and being vulnerable. Just because you're vulnerable doesn't mean that you are powerless. It means that you're just being open to the acceptance of something happening. You're being open to something, that could happen. And you got to be okay with it. You have to be okay with losing. Once you are okay with losing and you have no attachment to the actual idea of losing, that is when you can gain. Because you're not scared to lose. The more scared you are to lose, the more things that you'll do that creates that scarcity, that puts you in that scared state. Okay?
Worry occasionally that you won't lose your temper.
You'll worry.
It means, though, that fundamentally, deep down within you.
So you'll see drawdown. You might be like, damn, I'm down 15,000. You might take some losses. That's okay. But
be able to be human in the pains, difficulties, and struggles that naturally go with human existence. But to have no hang-up, that is to say, to be able to drift like a cloud and flow like water, seeing that all life is a magnificent illusion, a playing of energy, And there is absolutely nothing fundamentally to be afraid of.
Fundamental.
Fundamentally. You will be afraid on the surface. You will be afraid of putting your hand in the fire. You will be afraid of getting sick. But you will not be afraid of fear. Fear will pass over your mind like a black cloud will be reflected in the mirror.
Okay? When he says you will not be afraid of fear, as in you won't be afraid to be afraid. I know that sounds very like you're contradicting yourself, but you'll know that it's okay to be a little scared. You'll know it's okay to be a little bit worried. You'll know that it's okay to be a little bit concerned, but you won't let it overtake you. You won't let it run your life. Okay? Is everybody clear on that? Press 1. Awesome. Awesome. Press 1. I want to see some ones. Put your hand in the air like you got the heat to your back. 1. How did people enjoy that lesson today? Hey. Very good. Now, I don't want you guys to be ever motivated by what I would say. I want you guys to be determined. When a lion wakes up, he is not motivated to chase a gazelle. He is not motivated to chase a zebra. He's motivated, he's determined because he knows that he has to eat. Motivation is like gas. You could drive from here to California, but you're gonna have to stop for some gas. You're gonna have to stop for some fuel. So you think you're gonna hit me up and say, hey, Dimitri, I need some more motivation. Please motivate me. What if I die? What if something happens to me? Then you're gonna be running to the next person for more motivation. Don't look at me for motivation. Don't ever look to me for motivation. Look to me for determination, because I'm determined. I'm determined to get what I want. I'm determined to win. I'm determined to become the person that I most want to be without having attachments to that. But I'm okay if it doesn't turn out that way. And because I'm okay with that, that's why I believe will happen for me. Okay? Never stop being great. Greatness is something you work on every single day. You can never be too great. You could never be too great, but you can be too crappy at something, that's for sure. But you could never stop being too great. Isn't that crazy? You can't be too terrible. There's a level of terribleness where you're like, ooh. The level of greatness never stops. Within greatness, there's more greatness. There's infinite amounts of greatness. Greatness allows you to go. Being terrible ruins yourself. And once you ruin yourself, there's no start. It's just an ending. It's like reading a book backwards and not knowing what the hell happened in the story. So that's the insight that I would give you. I appreciate you. If I don't see you, good morning, good night, good afternoon, and that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And guys, I'm going to put the new link for the next course, which will be next week, Monday. I'm going to put that in on the website by tomorrow. Okay, so check back. I'm going to try to do it tonight, but just check back tomorrow at, by noon, and the new link should be there for the next course. It's going to be starting next Monday at 12:30 p.m. for the 5-day program and 2 p.m. for the advanced course.
Thank you, compliance, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'll see you guys. Don't advance today, correct?
Excuse me, Dimitri?
If I want everyone also, once you get off the class, please message me on Telegram. If you're in the 5-day course, message me on Telegram. Compliance, we're ending this call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.